Shalom. I want to give all the praise and all the glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Makakudash. Double honors goes out to the other apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth. Also, I want to acknowledge all the Akim who are pushing this truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. All right. I'm going to go in on Daniel, the third chapter today. And it's with respect to Daniel in the fiery furnace. Okay, so without further ado, let's get in it. It says, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold whose weight was 60 cubits and breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. All right, so Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, he was setting up a false idol, right, in Babylon. What's new, right? Babylon is basically ancient Babylon and the daughter of Babylon, which is America. Nothing but false idols, right? These are places where you're going to have false idols. Idolatry is popular in both ancient Babylon and spiritual Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, America. All right, let's read verse 2. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent together the princes and governors and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, counselors, and sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. See, so he summoned all the treasurers, the judges, the counselors, the sheriffs, the rulers, all these different leaders of Babylon. He summoned them. It was like a dedication. Well, it was a dedication, right, to honor his idol, right, that he made. And same thing with Babylon, America. You know, they do the same witchcraft, the same sorcery. They put it on the people. You know, even something as as you might think harmless as the American flag, right? When we were in school, what we had to do, we had to pledge our allegiance to the flag, right? Pledge our allegiance to Babylon, America. And we didn't know what we were doing. You know, we were kids over there pledging our allegiance to that flag, right? Which we didn't know in history. We were just little kids, but they made us, put our hands on our heart and pledge our allegiance to Babylon the Great, right? Let's read verse 3. Then the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, and the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, meaning like the governors, were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, right? At the time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye shall fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Right? That's what they do. When we were kids, what they do, they would raise the flag up, and then all the kids, everybody in the school would pledge their allegiance. Same thing going on right here. They're basically saying, when you hear the music, when you hear the trumpets, when you hear the cornets, the flute, the psaltery, right? You're gonna fall down and worship, right? And a herald is a official messenger bringing news, right? That's the definition for that word herald. It says, then an herald cried out, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages. You see that? Nations and languages. Showing you that ancient Babylon was a melting pot, just like America, right? It says nations and tongues, or languages, which are tongues, right? So basically, it's the same thing. Nothing new under the sun. It tells you that in Ecclesiastes. I think it's Ecclesiastes 1. Let's get that real quick. It's nothing new under the sun. People will try to say, oh, well, America is the great melting pot. Well, Guess what? You had that same thing in Babylon. You had the same thing in Rome. There were all multiple nations, multiple tongues, languages being spoke in ancient Babylon. Okay, just like you have here. You have people who speak different languages in America, different nationalities, right? Let me see. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done, it is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. All right, so there's no new thing under the sun. You had a melting pot in ancient Babylon. You have the melting pot in spiritual Babylon, or the daughter of Babylon, America. All right, let's keep reading. Daniel 3, and I'm at verse 6. And it's the same thing, the jab, the jump shot. I got to be careful with my words because they canceled. They gave me a strike for saying the actual word, so I'm gonna keep saying the jump shot, which hopefully you know what I'm talking about. So the same thing with the jump shot, right? It falls in line with what I'm about to read in verse 6 here. Okay, it says, "And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast in the midst of the fiery furnace." All right. So there, the herald was like, "Hey, if you don't fall down and worship this image of gold that Nebuchadnezzar set up, you're going to be put to death, or you're going to be put in a fiery furnace." The same thing is going to happen here in Babylon, America, when they go, when the devil really starts showing his horns, when he goes all out with his agenda, and he starts pushing that RFID CHIP, all right, CHIP, the RFID CHIP, all right. The same thing. There's going to be a law where it's mandated, and if you don't fall in line with, and I'll call, you can call Sleepy Joe. He's like Nebuchadnezzar. He's the one. Matter of fact, he's pushing it more and more. Like recently, as of late, I've seen him in the news pushing that jump shot again. And eventually they're gonna get to that point where that mark of the beast, the charagma, right? For those of you in the know, eventually that's going to be mandated, and the same thing. If you don't take it, you're going to be put in prison, put in a FEMA camp, put to death. A lot of things are going to come about with that mark of the beast. Okay, the MOTB. All right. So let's keep reading. Verse 7. "Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up." See? So, the majority of the masses, they're going to fall right in line. Like it says, all the people, right? They started worshiping the golden image, right? And that's how you people are. The majority of you are going to be just fine taking the jump shot. The majority of you are just going to be just fine taking the RFID CHIP, right? You're going to take that. Let's keep reading. "Wherefore at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso not fall down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon." So these were Judites, right? And these people, these Chaldeans, basically just ratting them out, right? Saying, hey, there's certain Jews that they're not doing this. They're not following this decree you just set forth, right? And it's the same thing right now. You're going to have whistleblowers. You're going to have people ratting out the prophets of today, the ones who are not conforming to the decree of Esau Edom, right? We're not conforming to the law or the decree of the agenda here in Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, America, right? Meaning we're not going to take the jump shot. We're not going to take the RFID CHIP in our hand or in our forehead, right? Let me keep reading. You're going to have these whistleblowers, right? Ratting us out, telling on us, right? There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. See, and that's the same spirit the prophets are going to be in. We're not going to worship, or we're not going to bow down. We're not going to bend the knee to the wickedness, right? We know that the jump shot is a law, is contrary to our law, right? What is it? Leviticus 11, is it 28? No, 29. Maybe it's 29:11. Leviticus. Oh, shoot. Okay, give me a second. That's why we got to stay in these scriptures, because, we're in the flesh. We don't remember every single verse. I bet you it's Leviticus 11, 19, and 28. Okay. So see that CHIP, RFID, CHIP, the jump shot, those are contrary to our law. Because why? Leviticus 19 and 28. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh. See? So we're not going to do this for this dead man. Because who is the dead man walking? Esau Edom, right? And our people who are in gross darkness, who can't understand spiritually or see spiritually what's really going on, right? So that's why none of us prophets, we call ourselves the prophets, we call ourselves the hopeful elect. None of us took that jump shot. All right? None of us of GMS, I should say. So let's go back to Daniel 3 and verse 13. And this is how it's going to be. These people are going to rage against us, including their king, Sleepy Joe Biden, right? It says in verse 13. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye worship my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? And let's get the law on that real quick. As Exodus 20, and I think it's verse 3. Hurry up. Exodus 23. Thou shalt have no other gods or powers before me. So that is actually the first commandment for the Israelites. We're not to put no other gods, no other powers ahead of Yahweh. All right? And let's read verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Okay? So what is that image? He's got a graven image. It's made of gold. That's what this chapter in Daniel chapter 3 started out with, saying that Nebuchadnezzar set up an image of gold, right? And it was a graven image, you see. So this is why Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were Judites, they didn't conform to that law. They didn't bend the knee. They didn't worship the image, you see. And it's the same thing that's happening right now. I read it in Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. It said that there's no new thing under the sun. This happened in the past, man. This happened to us in the past over and over, multiple times, where these heathen were trying to get us to worship their gods, worship their images, right? But the Lord is merciful, and he's pulled out a remnant, or he's reserved a remnant who will not bend the knee to false gods. All right, let's keep reading. Daniel 3 and verse 14. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up. See, so he was pissed off. He was feeling salty. You know, Nebuchadnezzar was feeling salty than a motherfucker. Because why? Because we weren't, or because our forefathers, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, were not serving those gods that he set up. Verse 15. Now, if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast in the same hour into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. And who is that power that shall deliver you out of my hands? Right? And let's see what they say. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. See, so they didn't care. They were like, we're not going to be careful with the words we choose. We're going to tell you how it is, right? See what they say. Verse 17, if it be so, our power, Yahweh, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. You see? So we have the faith that the same thing is going to happen to us. You know, when we come into the hour of temptation, right? Rich, let's get that real quick. Because what's the hour of temptation? That's when the decree, when everybody is going to be tried by this mark, this wicked mark of the beast, right? Revelation 3, it's either 10 or 15. 10. All right, it says, this is Yahweh Shai speaking, Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. All right? This is Yahweh Shai promising his elect that because we kept his word, meaning we kept it 100, you know, so that you could understand we're keeping it 100, right? And we're keeping the word of patience, and patience goes into suffering, meaning we're willing to suffer before we bend the knee, or before we worship other gods, or before we take that mark in our hand or in our forehead, right? We ain't gonna do it. We'll even be put to death before we take that. See? That's why it says, I will keep thee from the hour of temptation, because a lot of people are going to be tempted, even though they might say right now, like, oh, I'm not going to take that MOTB in my hand, right? That grain of rice in my hand. They'll say that, but then when they're tempted, when it's time to like eat, and they have no other way to eat, but unless they take it, they're going to fold. These people who are not building themselves up in the spirit, these people who are you know, they're like fair weather Israelites. You see, they're really not. They know they're Israelites, but they're really not diligent. They don't do no work. They really don't have faith at the end of the day, right? So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, he's not going to keep those type of Israelites from the hour of temptation. He's only going to keep his elect, which his elect are going to have a spirit on us that we're diligent. We're constantly building our spirit up in the spirit, right? And it says, which shall come upon all the world, right? To try them that dwell upon the earth. Everyone's going to be tried. Even a lot of the elect are going to be in that situation where it's like, hey, it's do or die. You either take this according to the laws of Esau, Edom, or you don't take it and you're going to be put to death. You're going to be put in a FEMA camp, put in a prison. Whatever it is, each man he's going to have to deal with that, right? So let's go back to Daniel chapter 3. I'm at verse 19. 3 and 19, it says, Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So I'm gonna actually look up that word, visage. So bear with me. The word visage means a person's face with reference to the form of or proportions or features, and that's what I thought it was, right? So his face, his countenance, basically he was pissed off, right? He was mad at them, and he changed up on them, right? Because remember, they were leaders. They were I'll read it again in verse 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon. So they were men who were set over, important affairs in the province of Babylon, right? Which a province is like a state or a city. So they had high positions in society. And he was cool with them until he realized that they were not following his decree, right? All right, so let's keep reading. And his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. So he basically told them to turn up the heat even more for these motherfuckers, right? That's how his attitude was. He was like, man, these motherfuckers, I'm gonna throw them in the furnace, but not until we turn the heat up even hotter, even higher, right? Verse 20. And he commanded, and that's the sentiment that these Edomites are going to have against us, man. They're going to be so raged and mad and angry when they realize men that are not conforming to these laws, right, and their agenda. They're going to get mad. They're gonna. Hey, John, the Revelator, he saw it. He saw the heads getting chopped off, right? Let's get that real quick, because John the Revelator saw it, man. Let's get it. John, Revelation 20 and 4, it says, and this is John speaking, right? He says, and I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua and for the word of the Most High, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Yahushua 1,000 years. You see? So John had a revelation that he saw prophets who the souls of them that were beheaded, right? Because Esau, he's got the guillotine where he's going to chop off our heads, man. That's going to be one of his form of punishment for not taking like it says right here, not worshiping the beast or his image, right? Or receiving his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, just like what I told you, right? So with that, I have to bring it out now, because this is his agenda, right? Revelation 13 and 16. It says, well, I'll read 15. Because this is the nothing new under the sun, man. Nebuchadnezzar wanted everybody to bow down to his image, to his graven golden image. It's the same thing with Esau. He wants you to bow down to him by showing your allegiance to him by taking that little grain of rice in your hand or in your forehead, right? And I'm not going to say it, because I don't want my video to get flagged or taken down, all right? So Revelation 13, and I'll start at 15, it says, and he had no power to give life unto the image, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. All right, just like right here in Daniel, right? Well, this is a future prophecy which is dealing with America, the Babylon the Great, the daughter of Babylon, right? Who's ruled by the Edomites, right? So now we go to 15. And verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. All right. So without this mark, this charagma, that's how you say it in the Greek. Basically, you're not going to be able to buy or sell. Like you won't be able to function in his society without that mark. Okay. So let's get this real quick. So you won't be able to function. You're not going to be able to, buy your kids food. You can't buy clothes. You can't buy nothing unless you have that mark, right? But just same thing was going on in ancient Babylon. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were like, they weren't having it, right? They were like, nah, we ain't gonna do this, right? It doesn't matter. Even if we get placed in the furnace, remember they told Nebuchadnezzar, hey, you can put us in that furnace. We're not gonna choose our words carefully. We're gonna stand stiffly for the truth. We're gonna stand stiffly for the names of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? Just like in Esdras, right? Tells you that, because Esdras was marveled at the men who were receiving crowns. And Esdras asked, who are these men? And the angel was like, these are the men who stood stiffly for the names of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and for this truth. That's the characteristic of the prophets, of the elect. You're going to stand stiff for this truth, even if it means you being put to death. Just like when they said, I like how they said that, right? It says in verse 18, but if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods. Verse 16, he says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. They were like, we don't give a fuck you get offended at us. We'd rather be put to death than to bow down to your image, man. Because why? They were spiritual men. They were the elect in that time. All right? They had the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai on them. And a man who has the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai on him, he's not going to conform to the wicked laws that any heathen nation puts forth to us. You see, we ain't going to do it. So let's keep reading. Let me see. Let's see. Salakia, I'm just trying to figure out where I'm at. I'll read this again. I don't know if I read it, but in verse 17, Revelation 13 and 17. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, which is 666. Okay, and even going back to just the UPC symbols, all the UPC symbols when you go to ring out your groceries or ring out your items when you purchase things. The code in locked into every single UPC code. Actually, I have an example right here. You see that? When you decipher that code, that UPC code, it breaks down to 666 on every single one of them, right? You got the beginning one represents 6, the beginning pattern, the middle pattern of lines represents 6, and the ending represents 6. All right, and that's the spirit that I had this UPC code right here by my on my desk. So, But it's 666, man. And that's to buy or sell. Right now, you're doing it on the code is on the item or the product. But there's going to be a day here in the very near future, Lord's will, where it's going to be in your hand or in your forehead. And call halal yah b'Hashem Yahushua. My stove says 11:44. All right, right now on the clock at 11:47. My stove is 3 minutes behind. That's all right. But anyway, where we at? Verse 21. Back in Daniel 3:21, and it says, "These men were bound in their coats, their hosen and their hats and their other garments." I'm sorry, I skipped one. Verse 20. "And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace." So, he got pissed off. Nebuchadnezzar said, "Hey, put them in the furnace, bind them up." Verse 21, These men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All right, so the men who bound them up actually got burned up, right? And I didn't even know that. I didn't realize that. I haven't read this in a while. Verse 22, therefore, because the king's commandment was, verse 23, and these men, these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonied, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. And he answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose. Where am I? Okay. 25. And he answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire. They have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the son of Yahweh. You see? So basically, Nebuchadnezzar, when he looked in, he saw that the fire wasn't doing no hurt, doing no harm on Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, and he even saw an image of a man who looked like Yahweh Shai, right? Oh, that's another cut to these people, because you got a lot of men out here teaching the scriptures wrongly, and they're saying they discredit Yahweh Shai. They say that he's not in the Old Testament. That you know what I'm saying? Like, this is another cut to them. All right, let me see. I had a precept though. Oh yeah. Let me get this precept real quick. Bear with me. I just need to get pull a precept. Actually, I know where it's at. I don't need to pull it up. I got it right here. Zechariah 13:8. Zechariah 13:9, it says, And I will bring the 3rd part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is gold, and they will try them as gold is tried, and they shall call on my name, and I will hear them, and I will say, It is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my power. See, so right here, that 3rd part, why? Because these were elect men. They were not harmed by the fire. Now, when the daughter of Babylon gets burned up by nuclear fire, you're going to have men, whether you receive it or believe it or not, you're going to have men and women who are cleaving to the prophets, meaning listening, hearkening, believing, right? Who are going to be able to walk through that nuclear fire, right? The fire is not going to affect the elect. And also, the chariots are going to take up the elect, and we're going to witness America burn from the chariots. We're going to have a bird's eye view inside a chariot, what you call a UFO, watching Babylon America being burned up. All right, let's get back to Daniel. (26). It says, Then Nebuchadnezzar came to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High, Yahweh, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. So they were in the middle of the fire, and guess what? Yahweh had given them spiritual power where they did not get burned up, man. So these powers are going to come in these days too. We have faith that this is going to happen. The heathen and the 2/3, they don't believe it's going to happen. They're going to be astonished like Nebuchadnezzar was. He was astonied, it said, meaning astonished. They're going to be shocked, right? They're going to be like, oh my God, how come these guys didn't get burnt up? How come they didn't get fucked up, right? Verse 27. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither was oh shit, man! Not even their hair got singed. Call out, man! My hairs on my flesh are standing up right now, man. The spirit jumped on me on that one. Let me read it again for y'all. All right, because guess what? This is going to happen, man. This is going to happen again. You're going to have the elect are not going to be harmed, right? No weapon shall formed against us shall prosper. Not even nuclear missiles. Not even a fiery furnace, okay? Not unless Yahweh ordains us to be put to death, no weapon can be formed against us will prosper, man. Let me read it. And the princes and governors and captains and kings, counselors being gathered together saw these men upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their heads singed, neither was their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be Yahweh, the Most High, of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants and that trusted in him. You see, when you trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahshai, but it takes faith, it takes diligence, all right? You can't just turn it on and turn it off. You know, one day you turn it on and all of a sudden you're saved. No, you got to build it up, man. You have to, you know, when the enemy comes in like a flood and the Lord lifts up a standard against the enemy, which is that military, which is during martial law when he tried to put us in, in his prison, in his FEMA camp, and whatever else this Edomite is going to try to do to us. When all that happens, the Spirit of the Lord is going to lift up a standard, just like he did for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego through his angel, right? And it keeps us protected. It says, and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies that they may not serve nor worship any power except their own power, Yahweh. Woo! See, so this is what it is, man. We have the faith. We're building our spirit up every single day. We do videos. Every single day we read. We're in the word, you know? Because of this, let me get it. Isaiah 59 and 19. It says here, it says, so shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. Who's that enemy? Esau, Edom, because he's going to come in like a flood. A flood is a metaphor for his troops coming in, a bunch of troops, right? The Spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. Meaning, when that flood comes in, brothers, Yahweh, the Spirit is going to lift up a standard. Who knows what it's going to be? Whether He makes you, gives you invisible power to become invisible. Whether gives you the power to fly. Whether gives you superhuman strength to just toss His soldiers everywhere. Like ragdoll His soldiers. You see. We don't know what it's going to be, but the Lord says He's going to lift up a standard against him. So we're the men if we're those men who are of the elect, if we're those prophets, then we believe that this is going to be faithful and true, right? The Lord's going to put up a standard against this fucking Edomite. And we're going to be beating his soldiers' asses, man, by the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. You see, the Lord's going to lift up a standard on him, just like He did for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay, let's go back to Daniel 3, and I'm at 29. It says, "Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, language which speak anything amiss against the God." You see, so now Nebuchadnezzar is like changing his whole thing up now, man. He's like, all right, you speak against their God? Let's read it. "Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God or the Most High of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other power that can deliver after this sort." Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. See the power of Yahweh, man? So I'm going to close it out on that, but they ended up it was a total 180, right? A total turnaround, right? They went from being thrown into the fire, but they stuck to their guns, man, just like we got to. We got to stick to our guns. No matter what this devil, no matter what this Edomite presents to us, we have to just stick to our guns, keep our faith in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and at the end of the day, hey, we're going to be rewarded. Lord's will, we are those men, right? We are those men. But I'm going to go ahead and close out on that, man. Then brothers got promoted in the ancient Babylon, right? And with us, we're going to get promoted too, but it's going to be promotion of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. We're going to get them new bodies. We're going to be entering into the kingdom. We will be promoted. We're going to be as rulers in the kingdom. Promotions. It's going to be a promotion because of our faith and our trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. All right. So with that, I'm going to close this out. I want to give all the praise, all the glory unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua B'Shem Rekakodash B'Akatam. And Shalom, or double honors to our elders for teaching me this truth. Acknowledging all the Akyam who are pushing this truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. A shalom to the elect. And may you brothers endure to the end. Shalom, brothers. Oh, shit.